What's going on, everybody? My name is Mr. Young, and this is a video dedicated to those that are entering the first year of university or college. I've got some tips, some tricks, and some advice that I've picked up over some of the second, third, and fourth years of my university experience, and I'm happy to share this with you. I went to the University of British Columbia, and I did pretty well, and I've picked up on some things that might be helpful and some knowledge that I wish I had known in my first year. So with that in mind, let's get started with this video. Alright, my first suggestion is related to textbooks. Now, if you go over to the UBC bookstore website, they're going to populate a list of textbooks that you need for the semester. When you were in high school, you didn't have to buy any textbooks because the high school provided them to you. Now, you might think to yourself, is it better to buy everything brand new? Well, if you're only going to take the course for 4 months and you're not going to use the books after, it's a better investment just to buy it used. So if you go to this Facebook group, or there's a few Facebook groups and they sell used textbooks and you can buy and sell used textbooks, that might be a better option for you, because a new textbook may cost hundreds of dollars, but a used version is going to be a big steep discount. So by doing so, you're going to save money. And when you buy used, then you can also sell the textbook at the end of the course, and then you're not losing that much money for textbooks for the course. Also, if you buy textbooks used, sometimes the sellers are going to be pretty nice, and if you ask them for course notes or any extra materials, they might even provide them to you. Tip number 2 is to be proactive with your homework and your schedules. One thing that I like to do is I'm going to plan out all of the tests, and I get a September calendar and maybe an October calendar, and I'll actually write down when all of my tests are going to be. Now that you have the course syllabus, you can actually plot and see when all of your midterms are going to be, and this is great for organization and planning. So maybe you have a few tests over here, some tests over here, and homework, and what you can do is you can apply weights. So you have a test that's worth 30% on this day, a test that's worth 20% on this day, and by mapping it out, it's going to make it a lot easier and more organized for you to do work. So it's important to be ahead of the game rather than waiting till the last night and you're working overnight to do the work. If you properly plan, you should be able to see, oh, I have a report that's due on this day, and then 2 weeks ahead, you can start planning, start getting the outline done, and this is going to promote better studying habits than just throwing something together last minute and expecting a good mark. So it's important to plan when all of your assessments are going to be. Tip number 3 I have for you is to bring snacks and food wherever possible. Now, when I went to UBC, there weren't many food options, and now there's a whole bunch of restaurants opening up, and the food scene at UBC, my school, has grown a lot. But this doesn't mean that you should be eating out a lunch every day unless you have a lot of money. It's a better idea. What I do is I go to Costco, I get a big box of these snacks and try to make coffee where you can, and this is going to save you money and time, especially on some days like Tuesdays. If you line up for triple O's, the line's going to be really long and you don't want to be wasting that time in line. So wherever you can, try to bring food from home. Not only is it healthier, but it saves you time and saves you money on campus. Tip number 4 is related to moderation and balance. Even though university is a little bit challenging academically, it doesn't mean that you have to dedicate 10-12 hours of study every day and then you're going to get burned out. Find some time to do some leisure or recreational activities just to clear your mind. So in my second year, I started working out. I continually played floor hockey, and by doing some exercise, it's going to relieve some stress as well. So it's not just about studying 100% of the time. There needs to be some time for you to enjoy some of the things that you enjoy doing. So finding that balance and moderation, I find, is key as a university student. So maybe you want to join some clubs or some activities that you're interested in, and this leads me to my next tip. Tip number 5 is related to networks and growing your connections. University and college, is going to be one of the last places where you get to meet a whole bunch of different people from around the world. So there's a lot of diverse people, and by joining clubs, joining organizations where you can meet a whole bunch of different people, it's going to be an enriching experience for yourself and a learning opportunity as well. I found that studying as a group was a very enriching process, and it helped me to learn more than if I was studying individually and alone. So building those networks and those connections, joining clubs and meeting new people is going to be very important for you in your first year of university. 6 is to develop good study habits and also showing up to class. Maybe you take a class and you realize that as time goes on from September to October to November, the attendance is slowly going to dip. And this doesn't mean that you shouldn't go to class. I think it's important that you show up, you take good notes, and that you listen to your professors. You can also show up to their office hours. And even though you're in a big lecture hall, professors are also going to have times where you can visit their office and ask personalized questions, and this is going to help your studying. In the actual classes themselves, what I would do is before class, I'm going to print out all of the PowerPoint slides, and then when I walk into class, I take out my notes, and then I'm going to annotate and write down my notes by pen and paper. Now, this may work for some people, and others prefer typing, and I just found that by writing things down by pen and paper, I was more focused, I could listen to the conversations, and this would be a much more focused experience than if I was to go on my laptop and then be tempted to go to social media. My next tip for you is to take care of yourselves both physically and mentally. So take breaks, make sure you're drinking enough water, make sure that you get enough sleep, and set a strict sleeping schedule. So for me, it was important to get enough sleep. I slept around 11 o'clock every night, and by doing so, I was more focused, more energized, and this was more productive for me throughout the day. And if I only functioned on 4 or 5 hours of sleep, it'd be very tiring and mentally draining for me. So it's important to take care of myself, eat a balanced diet, make sure you get those fruits and veggies in there, and this is going to help you to be more focused and more productive throughout the day. Tip number 8 is to take advantage of all of the services that your university or college provides. Now you can go to the libraries and they can help you with research if you want. There's a lot of academic resources. Maybe you can find some peer tutors. And I think a lot of first years, they go to class, maybe go to their office hours, but they don't realize that there's a whole bunch of extra support services that can be helpful for their education. There's things like you can go to peer coaches, tutors, academic advising, and advisors, and they can help you with your course planning, help you to decide what courses to take. Now, not all services are going to be excellent, but they may provide some value or help. So you should definitely look into some of the services and see if they can help you with what you need. And finally, when it comes to your first year, think about it as a learning experience. You're often going to make mistakes, or you wish you had done things differently, but make sure that you have a support group, that you have some friends, you meet other people, and you don't go through this whole university experience alone. There's a lot of people, a lot of friends that can help you in your journey, so you should try to meet others and try to go through the experience together. Now, the number one thing I would tell first year Mr. Leong back in university, the advice I would give is to not be afraid to step out of your comfort zone, meet other people, and try to build networks and groups, and don't go through the whole experience alone. I remember my first semester was quite lonely. I would go to class, just focus on my studies, and then go home and try to catch up. And I feel like if I'd focused on developing those groups of friends and those support groups, I would have been much more successful. And I did. In my second and third and fourth years, I had a small tight-knit group of friends, and we would hang out. And I think that was one of the best parts of university, is that when you develop really close friend circles and you share and you grow together in those experiences, that's the most enriching part of university or college. So with that, I wish and hope that you have a great semester, and I know that you'll do great. I hope that you'll do great. And just remember that there are a lot of people around you who are cheering you on and supporting you, and have a great semester and year. So thank you for stopping by. And if you're interested in learning more about business basics and fundamentals, you can click onto my channel link over here. And I also have a playlist of some university life and tips, and I've curated a playlist especially if you're going to UBC, so feel free to check that out. I'll see you later, okay? Bye-bye, thank you.